What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy and I'm going to be doing my review for the 2025 movie Jurassic World Rebirth. So, in this movie, 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, covert operations expert Zora Bennett is contracted to lead a skilled team of top secret mission to secure genetic material from the world's three most massive dinosaurs. When Zora's operation intersects with a civilian family whose voting exposition is capsized, they all find themselves stranded on an island where they come face to face with this sinister, shocking discovery that's been from the world for decades. So, this movie is pretty awful. I really did not like this movie at all. And before I get into the negatives, I'll go through the few things that I didn't like about the movie first. First off, I will say Scarlett Johansson is great in this movie, which is not really a surprise. She's great in everything she's in. This is far from one of her best performances for sure, but she does everything she can to be as good as she can in a movie that is not very well written at all. So I will say she's really great too. And the other two leads, Mahershala Ali, but I haven't really seen in anything. Was pretty good in this movie too. He had good chemistry with Scarlett Johansson, and same with Jonathan Bailey. I think they all three worked good together, but this is definitely my least favorite performance that I've seen of hers, and I haven't seen enough of the other two to say if this is going to be their worst performance, but it wasn't anything to write home about for any of them and everything, but they all did the best they could with what they had to work with. Now, I will say that the score by Andre Splat is really, really great. He's a really great composer who's done some really great movies and stuff. He's sort of teaming with Gareth Edwards after working with him on Godzilla and everything. And I think his score in here was really good. The cinematography is pretty gorgeous too. It's got some really pretty cinematography in here at times and everything. And it was cool seeing the river raft scene in the movie finally. That's one of my favorite parts of the book. And it's a really awesome scene in the movie. Gareth Edwards' directing was pretty good too, as expected and everything. He's a really good director. He's good at making really awesome scenes and stuff and everything, but I don't feel like this movie was that good and everything. And that's really where my positives end is and everything. I'll say the story is just pretty awful. It's really, it had an interesting setup, but it just wasn't executed very well, and the story was not very well written. There was no stakes in this movie whatsoever. Like, I don't think anybody actually dies, except for maybe one of the villain characters. It was very generic and forgettable and everything, but there's not really any good death scenes or anything like that in this movie. The CGI in this movie is not the absolute worst CGI I've ever seen by any means, but it's definitely not on par with the rest of this franchise and everything. I noticed it was a lot worse this time and everything. I think the CGI in this franchise is usually great. This is like one of the best visually looking franchises and stuff. And it did have some good CGI in certain scenes, like the river raft scene, but I missed the practical dinosaurs that we got in the previous movies. The CG, the characters are all really poorly written. They have no development, and none of them stand out and everything. There's nothing about them that make you really care about them or anything. So I don't really like the characters, and I hate the whole mutant dinosaur stuff. It was cool for the first Jurassic World with Indominus Rex, but I feel like it gets worse every single movie. Like, I'm just tired of these mutant dinosaurs and everything, and I didn't like the designs of any of them, especially the T-Rex. I think it looked really stupid and everything. I got they were trying to make it look really cool, but it didn't look cool at all. I think the T-Rex is actually the worst looking dinosaur out of the entire franchise. I feel like even though Dominion and Fallen Kingdom were both pretty bad movies, although I think Fallen Kingdom was more mediocre than bad, almost checked out of this franchise with that movie because of how disappointing that one was, but I had hopes that this one was going to win me back over and stuff, and it just made me decide that I'm done with this franchise and everything. This movie was horrible. Like, I didn't think it could get worse than Dominion, because Dominion was pretty dang bad, but this movie was way worse and everything. And the writing is just really poor here, which is really sad because the legendary David Koepp came back to write this movie. He wrote the first one and helped write the second one and everything. I don't know if he was the main writer on both movies, or I can't remember exactly the writer on this, but he's a really great writer. He also helped write Spider-Man, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. I know there's probably other movies too, but him coming back really had me excited for this movie, especially seeing that Universal wanted to stick to the script and they wouldn't let David Leitch direct it because he wanted to put his own creative flares into it and stuff, and they wanted someone who would just direct the script that was written and everything. And Gareth Edwards was a good choice and everything. Like, visually, they got a good person to do it because he's a huge Spielberg fan, so he has a lot of Spielberg influences in his movies already and everything. And you can see that in this movie. There's a lot of references to his other movies, especially Jaws and everything, which was pretty cool. But I feel like the Jaws references in Godzilla were done way better than this movie and everything. So all in all, I gotta say, Jurassic World Rebirth is easily the worst movie of the year for me. Like, and everything. I think it's definitely my worst movie of 2025 that I've seen so far. It's not just because it's a huge disappointment, but just because it's made me fall out of love with this franchise and everything. I already was starting to fall out of love with it with the last two movies and everything, and this one just kind of cemented that and everything. I just don't care about this franchise anymore, unfortunately. I probably won't see any more of the Jurassic World movies and everything. It's so bad, and it's very generic and everything. It could have been so much better, and I think the CGI would have been better if they didn't rush the movie and everything, because they announced it just a little bit over a year before it was released and everything. And the visuals and stuff just are not that great in this movie and everything. And it showed, because this movie was obviously very, very rushed. So I'm gonna say I'll give it a 2 out of 10, and that's really just because of my love for Scarlett Johansson and everything. If it weren't for her, this would probably get a 0 out of 10 for me. But she really carried the movie and everything. It's pretty sad when Scarlett Johansson is the best thing about a movie that's packed with awesome dinosaurs and stuff and everything. But the dinosaur action just was very lacking in this one. Like, I felt like Dominion was kind of lacking too, but not near as bad as this one was and everything. But I'm not saying that this makes Dominion a better movie, because it's not a great movie either and everything. And I'm just done with this franchise. So I'd give, like I said, I'd give it a 2 out of 10. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of Jurassic World Rebirth. Do you think I'm being too harsh? Do you think it's a huge step up above the other movies? I've been hearing that from a lot of people and everything. I can't say that I agree. This is easily my least favorite out of the franchise. It's the worst movie of the year for me, and I don't know if it'll stay the worst movie of the year. There's other movies that could top it and be worse, but so far this is the one that I would say it's worst just because it's part of a franchise that I used to love so much. Because Jurassic Park used to be one of my most favorite franchises, and the more sequels we get, the less that it is anymore. I still have a love for the first 4 movies, but everything after that has just been mediocre to bad. So I don't really have any hopes for the future. I'm sure that there is going to be an 8th one and everything as good as this one's doing, but I don't know. I'm not going to probably see it till it gets out on home media and stuff. I don't think I'll waste my time going to see it in the theater. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of Jurassic World Rebirth. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.